はい。
Welcome to Season 3, Episode 2 of Yuzuru Hanyu is My Emergency Contact, the FanyuFanme podcast. In this episode, I'm going to focus on the best parts of Fantasy on Ice, and those are the parts when we get to see Yuzu on ice. Both Fantasy on Ice 2024 and 2023 will be featured in this episode, so if you've been missing IF, your time has finally come! Along with another edition of HAYAKU Fanyu, where we'll speed through some of my favorite recent Yuzu events. Last year, shortly after Fantasy on Ice concluded, I planned to release a special Fantasy on Ice podcast. But then, before that could happen, L happened. And that was something which simply couldn't be ignored. So, I politely asked the Fantasy on Ice podcast to step aside. Who am I kidding? I shoved it behind me and exclaimed, "Did you see that photo of Yuzu sitting on the Gucci suitcase?" All this to say, it is finally time for Fantasy on Ice 2023 to have its podcast debut, almost a year later. Curl up with your favorite Nishikawa, be it a cool sleep pillow or a TM Revolution t-shirt, because it's time to talk about the most anticipated part of Fantasy on Ice from any year. Turning the crank on the Gacha Yuzu machine and seeing which new Yuzu will add to our collections.
せーの、はい。
Gacha Yuzu. No matter which button you select on the "Should Yuzu Still Skate in Fantasy on Ice" Twitter poll, one thing is undeniable. We all love getting a new Yuzu out of the Fantasy on Ice gacha machine to play with. And we don't just play with him. We take his picture, we give him nicknames, we get his theme song stuck in our heads. Really, really stuck in our heads. We see just how posable he can be. Answer, very. We find new accessories of his to buy. Though it might be time we start to consider drawing a line somewhere. Selling out his favorite Sendai snack is one thing, selling out his underwear is another. We pull his string to hear his new catchphrases.
That's so today.
And we introduce him to all the other Yuzus we have on our shelves from past Fantasy on Ice seasons. If-chan, meet Butterwings Yuzu. Please tell me we still remember Butterwings Yuzu. With each performance, we insert another 300 yen into the machine and turn the hand crank. Which Yuzu do you want to collect? The "Look, haha, no hands" Hydroblade Yuzu? The Mesh Yuzu? Parental guidance recommended. The wildly popular Kitty Yuzu? The Yuzu with the removable jacket? The So-So Yuzu? Though we all know a So-So Yuzu has never been produced. Because there is no way a So-So Yuzu could skate Yuzu's new program from Tour A. In fact, Yuzu's new program shouldn't be called If, it should be called How. There are so many moments in this program that basic human physiology should prevent Yuzu from being able to do, regardless of skill level. Let's get real for a minute. Yuzu gives us more in the dark before his program than most, I'd really like to use the word any, other skaters give us in their entire program. The jumps, the speed, the forever long camel spin before the lights even come up. Not to mention, let's just think about the difficulty of getting up off the ice from being in a full split. I mean, come on. If has required me to start making up my own names for Yuzu's choreography. Gone are the days of just calling moves by their universal classic figure skating names. Hydroblade, Spread Eagle, Ina Bauer, Billman Spin, Bestie. Now it's the Toy Soldier, the Standing Starfish, the Fedora Hold, the Yuzu in a Box, not to be confused with the pandemic Yuzu in a Box, the Scarecrow, the Angst, the Handcuffs, the Hurdle Leaps, the Ashura-chan, this is where the move naming goes meta, the Spinning Arm Caress, and my personal favorite, the What the Crap, which Yuzu has so perfected that it should be renamed the Hanyu What the Crap. I think you know which new move I'm talking about. I mean, what keeps him from not just flopping over backwards? Gravity's saying, hold up, that's Yuzuru Hanyu, he gets a pass. That's what? But of all the amazing choreography in IF, I am most mesmerized by the simplest, when Yuzu briefly puts a yasashi hand up to his face. And not in a badass masquerade or blinding lights way. In a, I'm suddenly too shy to skate this program way. Why do you do that, Yuzu? Wait, don't tell me. The mystery only adds to the allure. I save the picture of that moment every single time I see it. My phone has probably just defaulted to autosave when I scroll past it now. Fantasy on Ice 2024 brought a new photo to fill my phone. I'll let you guess which one that is. Yuzu would probably be amazed to hear that this subtle gesture was so beloved despite him giving us so many physically demanding moves in that program. He probably thinks it's a heck of a lot easier to put my hand to my face than to do the splits. Then again, it's Yuzu. He has said himself, well, it's not easy, but for me it is. P.S. I hope someday I get a Yuzu out of the gacha machine who uses the word heck in a catchphrase when you pull his string. And while I will admit that Fantasy on Ice group number choreography is infamously frustrating, I appreciate that following Yuzu's mysteriously underplayed first entrance in the opening in Makahari, he literally skates a circle around the other skaters before his jump. Way to take something he has been doing metaphorically and put it into a literal physical translation, David Wilson. One of the best parts of this year's Fantasy on Ice set of new Yuzus is that the front of the machines have now added the as seen at the Tokyo Dome stamp. And this makes my Fanyu heart swell with pride. I absolutely love that the Tokyo Dome has been added to Yuzu's illustrious introduction, that in all honesty could go on for the entire length of the show if we wanted to list off everything worth listing. Should we add Savior of Sendai Sweet Shops to the list? Just as his constant companion Gift Tote told us during Stars on Ice, this announcement relays the message we all want to hear from Yuzu. Gift was special to me. It was to us too, Yuzu. The good news is that no matter which Yuzu pops out of the plastic gotcha ball, I'm personally still hoping for the Haku NUA Yuzu. You know he's going to look amazing in his costume. And who do we have to thank for this? Yuzu! It must be great fun to be a costume designer who knows that no matter what you create, your design will appear brilliant on one person. It might be a good idea for the Fantasy on Ice costume designers to start by sketching for the lowest common denominator, not the highest. Admittedly, they did give us Black Lace Sleeve Yuzu in Fantasy on Ice 2022, and for this I am forever grateful. That and the half-cape tie-dyed thing that let Yuzu go extra wild on Cruel Angel's Thesis in 2017. Though I do think their real paycheck is coming from the earthy Fanyus. In the case of Fantasy on Ice, the designer giveth fabric, and then the designer taketh fabric away, and covereth with mesh. Regardless, it only takes a second for us to quickly get on board with every year's costumes. Wuzzle hoodie, sequin jacket, Colonel Sanders neck ribbon, 1980s Malibu Ken color block hoodie, it doesn't matter. We see them and think, that costume is horrible. Ooh, so sexy, Yuzu! This is just what Yuzu does to us, and we Fanyus can't help but be suggestible. This could explain why I now own a Dr. Pepper t-shirt, and am trying to figure out how to add a striped furry hood to it. But no matter how many Gacha Yuzus we have in our collections, every Fanyu hopes the Fantasy on Ice Gacha machine will award them with the Happy Yuzu. And as long as we know he's in the machine somewhere, we'll keep turning that hand crank, because he's the most sought-after Yuzu of them all.
完成です。
And then, when we saw Yuzu organizing stuffed wolfies in Aichi, the Fanyus didn't just start running to the Fantasy on Ice gacha machines. We started yanking them off the walls and busting them open in an attempt to locate stuffed animal stock boy Yuzu. Personally, I'd also like to add Yuzu using his skate guards as a microphone to my Gacha Yuzu collection, but that's another podcast for another time, which would also probably take second place to the L cover. Or maybe not. I love that moment so much. As for this year, Fantasy on Ice reminded us that Yuzu is always worth waiting for, and that our love for Yuzu can withstand any absence, including the absence of light.
せーの、はい。
Applauding for Yuzu in the dark. Anticipation. It comes with the unknown. It comes in the dark. And during Fantasy on Ice, it comes while waiting for Yuzu. It doesn't matter if it's the first night in the first city when we have no idea what Yuzu will reveal, including a scar, or the last night in the last city when we've seen all the photos, news clips, and Fanyu sketches. Just knowing it's Yuzu and we are going to see him brings about spontaneous applause, all before the lights even come up. That's right, we are applauding for Yuzu in the dark, because we know we have entered that part of the show. That part where we are reminded why we sat on our couches from 1 to 3:30 a.m. for a cumulative 29 minutes of Yuzu. And that includes spotting him during the wave bow, wave bow, wave, 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 high five portion of the show, which accounts for approximately 35.4 hours. But every minute is worth it, even the ones in the dark, because Yuzu makes sure of it. After all, Yuzu is Yuzu. By the way, Sponichi-san, I've been saying Yuzu wa Yuzu for years, and as recently as the day before your Fantasy on Ice front page came out, so I see you. Some people need to wear something fantastic, do something fantastic, say something fantastic to be applauded, but not Yuzu, though he also does all those things. Yuzu receives applause for his mere presence. Program before Yuzu ends, applause. Announcer says Saigo no, applause. A Fanyu spots Yuzu entering, applause. Yuzu does a tiny hop in his pre-programmed preparation in the dark, rapturous, applause. When the Yuzu moments come, we are no longer watching Fantasy on Ice, we are watching Yuzu on Ice, which surpasses every fantasy. Danny Boy is one of those fantasies you watch, mesmerized, thinking, I love him, I love him, I love him, I love him! The endless Einabauer, the exhale of breath, the spins that were delivered with a note from Megalovania saying, Doi Tashimashite. This program is extremely difficult, but Yuzu, as always, makes it look effortless. In some ways, I think Danny Boy may be the closest we will ever come to seeing Yuzu relaxing, and the fact that he brings us into that piece with him makes it particularly special. Then Meteor arrives in a blaze from the sky with the message, You thought you had seen every light blue Yuzu costume variation possible? Guess again! We are enchanted by Yuzu's dedicated interpretation of an anime, and the endearing mental image of him painstakingly choreographing every meaningful gesture while studying an anime like it's an anatomy textbook. During the in-between moments, I always wonder what Yuzu is doing backstage. Chatting with the other skaters, playing a video game, lying flat on the floor on a yoga mat. Those used to seem like good guesses, but now we know it's more likely a ridiculous workout. Yuzu carrying some ridiculously heavy thing. Yuzu staying in some ridiculously challenging stance. Yuzu executing some ridiculously difficult jump from the seated position. Or some other ridiculously impossible thing, only ridiculously impossible, Yuzuru Hanyu would do. So when it comes to Yuzu downtime guesses, score 1 point for Workout Yuzu, which also scores as my new favorite Yuzu hair, and 0 points for Dr. Pepper. Wah, wah. But while Yuzu is doing who knows what impossible thing backstage, I do feel the need to point out that there are certain things you shouldn't do if Yuzu is in the same building as you. Several other performers attempted dramatic arm reaches, and each time I thought, I can't believe you would try that knowing Yuzu was watching. The same goes for a knee slide, the Ina Bauer, any of the group choreography, but I'll stop there. And anyway, Yuzu was probably too busy resistance banding himself to a forklift to see that half-hearted arm reach anyway. And this is the part where I find myself saying, careful, don't get too snarky about Fantasy on Ice. But surely deep down, we all have moments during those other moments of Fantasy on Ice when we laugh at the absurdity, cringe at the choreography, or question what musical decade we're in. So how do you talk about Fantasy on Ice politely? How do you talk about how incredible Yuzu is and how grateful you are for every second he saves you? See what I mean? From Fantasy on Ice without speaking candidly. For me, a significant component of the entire Fantasy on Ice experience is the satisfaction of surviving the 95% to be gloriously rewarded by the 5%. So please forgive me whenever I speak candidly, but with love, about our loyal friend, Fantasy on Ice. For example, Fantasy on Ice costumes come with a certain fear, anxiety, and expectation. But this year, when I saw photos of the opening costume, I was just plain offended. It was the same bad scarf material and the same sad mesh attempt to get Yuzu more naked. It wasn't even uniquely bad. Come on, Fantasy on Ice, I thought. At least respect us enough to give us the opportunity to see Yuzu pull off something new and horrifying. But then I saw the closing costumes, and I knew I had been heard. Arigato, Fantasy-san. But this continuation of the Yuzu Vest saga raised a new question. How can you make something too small for Yuzuru Hanyu? Then again, who knows? Maybe Yuzu took it home, put on his blue laundry apron, one of my personal favorite Yuzu costumes ever, and shrunk it on purpose just to give us something to talk about. Sort of like why he turned one Wolfie backwards on the shelf. He takes such good care of us. I have to admit, when I heard that Yuzu was going to collaborate with Nishikawa for this year's Fantasy on Ice, I got really excited. While everyone else was hoping for some bondage-esque costume for Yuzu based on a music video I knew nothing about, I was hoping this collaboration with Nishikawa meant we would get to see Yuzu skating in the gray pajamas of sin. Turns out I had the wrong Nishikawa. Remember this for the future, Yuzu. You can skate in whatever you're most comfortable, unless it's a nude-colored shirt. Who am I kidding? You'd be able to pull that off too. Speaking of pulling off shirts, what do we need to do to get an air conditioning sponsor for Fantasy on Ice? That's all I'll say about that. I've also discovered I have anxiety watching other skaters skate close to Yuzu. I found myself wondering if they should have signed some type of waiver. This is in no way a commentary on the ability of the other skaters. I just want Yuzu to have a larger safety bubble around him at all times. This also revealed something else to me. I'm lucky Yuzu isn't a synchronized swimmer. This is part of why the final program was so satisfying. The safety bubble, not the synchronized swimming. The other skaters formed their hanging out at a party clumps and stayed perfectly in place while Stallion Yuzu broke out of the gates. It felt like he took all the energy he would normally exert over the course of a 2.5-hour ice story and condensed it, and every step sequence over his entire career, into 32 seconds, including a new favorite, Rock Bestie! Yuzu, that final display was borderline Cruel Angel's Thesis legendary. I'll sit through 3 hours of most anything to see you do that. But back to Yuzu in the dark. There's a sentence for you. Despite the other moments, concern over Yuzu's eyebrow, I hope whoever stitched him up had a steady hand and nerves of steel. And more historically horrifying costumes. What I was most left with after this abbreviated year of Fantasy on Ice was the symbolism of the pre-program applauding in the dark. It made me realize that we also applaud Yuzu during the dark times, which have nothing to do with how many stage lights are on in the arena. We are here to support him when he isn't in the spotlight or even able to be seen at all. But we are applauding because we know he's out there, we know he hears us, and we know he needs us. The conclusion of Repray showed us that Yuzu misses us during these dark times too. It was like, you hang up first. Yeah, you hang up first. He closed the Repray door on a Tuesday, and by Sunday, he had to reopen it and ask, are you still there? Do you still love me? Yes, Yuzu. You could leave for months and come back and crack the door open, and you'd find us all still talking about how much we love you and what you were wearing. But please don't leave us for that long. We start just making stuff up, like Milan runways and world tours, when left to our own devices. No matter how long we wait in the dark, we will be patient with our anticipation because we know that somewhere you are planning something to show us sometime, and it will be worth it. Just like the Rock Bestie. Just don't be startled when you turn on the lights and we're all still here, no matter what costume you're wearing.
完成です。
That blog post was scheduled to be released at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on Monday, June 10th, 2024. 2 hours before that could happen, Yuzu momentarily flipped on the lights for approximately 9 minutes, and the Fanyus burst into applause at the brightness of his presence. I hope we showed you we're still here, Yuzu, and we aren't going anywhere in the dark. Or in the desert. Before making a dramatic exit with one arm extended to the side, it's time for HAYAKU Fanyu, the part of the podcast where I allow myself 30 seconds each to speed comment on some of the latest Yuzu events. Spoiler alert, I'm going to cheat at least once this episode.
早い。
Yuzu Vest Vindication. The Sekisei blue suit with the vest, oh, you know which one I'm talking about, became breaking news. I said years ago that Yuzu in a vest would be a thing, and now Yuzu doesn't even have to be in the vest for it to be making news. Sekisei went so far as to tell us the exact dates, April 24th through 30th, 2024, when the jacket would be removed from the mannequin displaying the suit at Maison Kosei, so we could see the vest even more clearly. I'm just going to take this last few seconds to say, I told you so! Favorite Citizen Yuzu. There were so many options for Citizen behind-the-scenes favorite Yuzu. Which did I choose? The perfectly executed dramatic arm-reaching Yuzu? Nope. Surprised face Yuzu? Nope. Wind-blown Yuzu? Nope. Sundial Yuzu? Good try, but nope. It is the brief moment in between all those other moments when we see Yuzu dusting off his black silk pants. Particular Yuzu! If that had been Yuzu painstakingly dusting off his UA pants, we'd be leveling up to Dark Corner status. The Audience Poll of Joy. In moments of great relief and happiness, some people celebrate, some people nap, some people eat chocolate. Yuzu was so excited at the end of Repray Miyagi that he took a census of the audience. I think he stopped just short of, what is your household's median income? Celebrate in whatever way makes you happy, Yuzu. You've earned it. And a Dr. Pepper.
あー楽しい。こういうことをね、やってみたかったんですよ。
Honest advertising. As we started watching the Guess Which Day 2024 Fantasy on Ice reprays, don't judge me, and the Nihon TV stations started advertising the Tour B dates, I couldn't help but think they would be better off to just bill the next stops as they are. Fantasy on Ice Kobe? No Yuzu. Fantasy on Ice Shizuoka? Still no Yuzu. It may not sell tickets, but they would at least gain my respect for transparency. Haku Striptease. We all remember the Haku costume malfunction of Repray Miyagi 2024. It started small, but eventually escalated to the point that you were watching with your hands over your mouth, doing the math in your head of how many more seconds were left in the program and how many more centimeters were left in the costume. Poor Yuzu. At least now we have a better understanding of the glamorous sky costume with all the safety pins. Then again, given Yuzu's penchant for layering, of which I support 200%, I half expected there to be another Haku costume underneath. Yuzu versus Twitter. In the tweet about the Astopolis YouTube video, Staff's on Yuzu, yeah, I'm on the team that believes they're one and the same, had a bit of trouble. This was the timeline as I perceived it. YouTube video uploaded. Yuzu tweets about video. Thousands of people quote tweet that tweet. Yuzu realizes the link for the video wasn't in the first tweet. Yuzu tries to edit that tweet. It doesn't work, but notifies us again of the same tweet. Yuzu deletes the tweet without the link, so all the quote tweets disappear. Yuzu posts hysterical crying emoji tweet, saying he couldn't edit the last tweet, so he'll tweet again and asks us to quote tweet the new tweet. Yuzu tweets again, but with the link included. We do exactly what Yuzu tells us to do. Who wouldn't? Hopefully Yuzu gets a choco pie and calms down. And we all love Yuzu even more. If I got any of that wrong, insert hysterical crying emoji face here. A similarly hilarious and endearing situation happened recently on YouTube, but we'll leave that to the members. And I told you I was going to go over on the time limit at least once in this HAYAKU Fanyu, and there it was! Whew.
早い。
While we wait for Yuzu to turn on the lights again, and I go get a choco pie and calm down, you can follow FanyuFanme on Twitter. I've been told I need to start calling it X. Facebook, Instagram, Redbubble, where all FanyuFanme artist profits are now donated to Tohoku Disaster Relief. YouTube and FanyuFanme.com. Until next time, say it with me. Yuzuru Hanyu. And now one time in parentheses. Yuzuru Hanyu. The FanyuFanme podcast is a Back to the Forest production.
Back to the forest? Just kidding.